So our first hand, we open 5-4 suited in the cutoff and get 3-bet from the blinds to 10x with 103x stacks. Villain is 3-betting somewhere between 6 and 8% in this spot, which means that this is a pretty clear fold on these stack sizes. Our hand is too weak to call, it's at the bottom of our opening range, the stacks aren't deep, and we have position, but it's not going to be enough, so I elected to call. We flop well enough bottom pair and some backdoors on a Queen 8-5 rainbow board. When he continuation bets, I don't think we have much choice here but to call. It's worth noting that he also c-bets fairly large, considering the effective stacks 14 into 20. And we both see an ace on the turn. Villain checks to us. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind in this spot is that Villain is potentially capped. He could have turned top pair and is going to go for value on the river, or he could have turned top 2 or top set. But more likely is that this is a scare card to his holding. Now, there's a way to find out if it is or if it's not. If we bet a small amount now and he calls and checks the river to us, then we can be confident that he is in that weaker part of his range. Because he can have no presumption that he'll get value by taking this call turn check river line versus such a small bet with so much money left in the stacks. If he does have a value hand, he'll be either forced to check raise the turn or lead the river. In this case, he did check call the turn versus a small bet and check the river to us. Thus, I conclude he was capped and wanted to represent a hand stronger than that cap, like ace-jack or ace-king, often pocket 8s or ace-queen, and I shove. Notice that our small turn sizing was also one of the only ways we could have a bet with fold equity on this river, given how bloated the pot had become from Villain's pre-flop and flop action. Now, in the hand, Villain ended up calling with the king-queen of hearts. So let's review the board and try and figure out what our opponent's range was capped at. On Queen 8-5 rainbow, he 3-bet pre and bet the flop, check called the ace turn, and checked the offsuit 3 river. I'd imagine his range is probably capped here at pocket kings. Remember that idea from part 1 that there are spots where a villain has to think hero turned a hand into a bluff in order to even consider putting him on a bluff? Well, this is definitely the case in this hand because the board offers no strong draws. But Villain didn't have any problem calling here. So we can see I was doomed to fail from the beginning. I made a mistake pre-flop. I put Villain on a range that I could turn my hand into a bluff against. I executed that plan very well, and yet it didn't matter because this isn't the type of villain that had a working fold button. So my ability to turn hands into bluffs did not make up for the mistakes I made earlier, highlighting the importance of turning made hands into bluffs in the course of solid play, not as a parachute for getting out of line. So I think I took a line that is good in the wrong spot, and that's definitely my fault. But take note of the sizing I used to set up this play. So this next hand took place live, playing 5-5, and I think it illustrates a capped concept so perfectly that I wanted to include it. The pre-flop action's a bit unusual, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. There's a straddle under the gun and a couple calls before hero calls in the cutoff with 10-8 of diamonds. Some more dead money goes into the pot before the straddler makes it 50 more. Hero is the only caller and the flop is Queen 8-4. Villain c-bets 50, which is about 1/3 of the pot, and hero calls. On a 6th turn, Villain bets 50 again. And at this point in the hand, I thought about something that fellow Card Runners instructor M. Doran D said in I think his first video, and that was that when a micro stakes villain bets the same amount from one street to another, it usually indicates that the strength of his hand has not changed. Well, in this moment I was thinking very much about what he said in that video. What kind of hands would a young live donk raise pre-flop fairly large and then be worth betting that also didn't change strength on the flop or the turn? It seems to me that if we don't worry about going out on a limb and getting a narrow range, that his range is probably ace king, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, and jacks. As narrow as that. Our equity is pretty bad against the hands in that range that we're behind, and good but not great versus the ones we're ahead. Meanwhile, the entire range is afraid of the board, as indicated by his betting. And I think we don't have much choice here really but to shove. So I put my best blue steel face on and put the monies in. So, as live players are wont to do, this villain tanked forever, first of all, and then folded pocket nines face up. This, of course, confirmed for me everything I'd been thinking about his range in the hand.